Have you ever wondered about this central paradox in spirituality? If God, or the divine, is supposed to be everywhere, in everything, then why does it feel so hidden most of the time? Well, the Bhagavad Gita has a really fascinating take on this, explaining why God can be both all-pervading and, somehow, totally invisible to us. Let's get into it.
So it all kicks off with this really powerful verse from Lord Krishna. He says he's veiled by Maya. Now, Maya is a huge concept, but you can think of it as a kind of cosmic illusion. But it's not like a magic trick. It's more like a powerful filter over our perception that makes the material world seem like the only thing that's real. So the point is, it's not that God is actively playing hide and seek. It's that there's a fundamental barrier in how we see things. And that one idea, that's the mystery we're going to unpack today.
And this is the big question, isn't it? If the divine is literally the fabric of reality, why do we miss it all the time? The Gita, thankfully, doesn't just drop that question on us and walk away. It actually gives us a really detailed answer, suggesting our perception is clouded by a series of veils. So let's start peeling them back one by one.
Right. So the Gita doesn't just pose the problem, it gives us a whole framework to understand it. It breaks it down into 5 key reasons, or, as we're calling them, 5 veils that get in the way of us seeing the ultimate reality. Okay, so here's a quick roadmap of the 5 veils we're about to dive into. We're going to start with the simple limits of our senses and work our way all the way up to the grand power of cosmic illusion itself. First up, veil number 1.
The first veil is explained with this really beautiful, simple analogy. Imagine you're walking in the woods, and you hear this absolutely stunning birdsong. You experience it, it moves you, but if you don't have the knowledge to say, oh, that's a nightingale, you can't really identify the source, can you? The Gita says, our experience of the divine is exactly like that. It's all around us, we feel it, but without the right kind of knowledge or awareness, it just goes completely unrecognized. Okay, this next one is a little counterintuitive, especially when you think about spiritual experiences. What about having a profound vision of God? The Gita makes a really critical point here. Seeing a vision of a deity is an amazing step for sure, but it's not the final stop. These are temporary experiences, and if we get too attached to that specific form, that vision can actually become a new kind of trap, stopping us from seeing the formless reality that's behind it.
And this example just nails the point perfectly. The great mystic Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had these incredible, profound visions of the goddess Kali. But he didn't just stop there and cling to them. Instead, he used that experience as a tool to gain the wisdom he needed to see beyond even that powerful form, to the formless truth underneath. The vision was the key that opened the door, not the room itself.
All right, moving on to the third veil, and you can see how these ideas are starting to build on each other. This one uses another wonderfully simple but deep analogy. The pots, no matter how beautiful or perfectly made, can never truly know the potter who created them. They're the creation, he's the creator. And this analogy applies directly to us. From this viewpoint, our own body and mind are the creation. They are the pots. Now, the text calls them inert, which sounds kind of strange, but it just means they are objects that exist within the created world. And just like the clay pot, these tools we use for perception, our mind, our senses, they just don't have the capacity to turn around and fully perceive the very source that brought them into being.
Now, the last 2 veils are really intertwined. They suggest that we are totally immersed in what the Gita calls God's lower nature. Think of this as the physical, material world, everything you can see, touch, and measure. It's the whole universe of constant change, of birth and death, the world of Maya. And because we are so caught up in this ever-shifting reality, our focus is completely pulled away from the higher, unchanging truth that it's all built on.
So what is this higher in nature? Well, the text gives it a name, Brahman. This isn't a person with a long white beard. It's the absolute, unchanging reality itself. It's the pure, conscious principle that is the source of the awareness inside every single living being. It is the ultimate truth that the whole noisy, messy, illusory world tends to hide. So, if we're all looking at the world through these veils, does everybody see the same blurry picture? The Gita says, absolutely not. It explains that how we perceive God really depends on our power of discrimination, our ability to tell the difference between what's temporary and what's eternal. And this leads to 2 totally different ways of seeing. So on one side, you have what's called the indiscriminate view. This is when someone gets fixated on one specific form or personality, believing that is God, full stop. It's focused on those temporary visions we talked about earlier. But on the other side, you have the intelligent view. This way of seeing understands that any form is just a manifestation, and it always seeks the unchanging, supreme reality behind that form. And Krishna himself makes this distinction crystal clear. He says that people who don't understand his supreme, changeless nature, they mistakenly think that he's limited to whatever form or personality they happen to see. It's really a classic case of mistaking one beautiful wave for the entire ocean.
And all of this has been leading us to the final and most profound revelation in this whole teaching. After explaining why God is so hard to see, the entire perspective is about to get flipped on its head. We're going to move from trying to see God as an object to understanding something way more fundamental.
And here it is. This is the big pivot. The whole quest to see God with our eyes or to understand God with our minds has kind of been looking in the wrong direction. The ultimate teaching isn't about the object being perceived, it's all about the nature of the perceiver, the seer.
And with this one line, the whole paradox just dissolves. Krishna reveals, I am the subject that knows everything. You see, God isn't an object out there for our minds to find and put under a microscope. God is the ultimate subject, the very consciousness that makes it possible for us to know anything at all. Our minds, our bodies, all those created objects, they can no more perceive this ultimate knower than an eyeball can see itself seeing.
So let's just wrap this all up. The reason God is hidden in plain sight is because we're looking for an object, but the divine is actually the ultimate subject. Our mind and body are tools for perception. They can't perceive the very awareness that powers them. So true knowledge isn't about seeing some new, amazing form. It's about transcending all forms to get a sense of that unseen knower within.
And that leaves us with one last really fascinating question that this whole thing points to. If our main tool for knowing anything, our mind, is part of the creation, if it's one of the pots that can't know the potter, then what is left inside of us that can? Now that is something to think about.